Arbitrage. It's the process of going to a market, buying and selling a bunch of stuff in such a way that you are guaranteed to make a profit without taking any risk. And as you might expect, such opportunities are extremely hard to find in traditional markets and virtually impossible to find for individuals like you and me who don't have the backing of a hedge fund. Recently, however, a new type of market has emerged as a university experiment in New Zealand. It's called Predictit, and it allows you to bet on political outcomes, from who's going to win the next election to what the next decision of the Supreme Court is going to be. And there are two key characteristics that distinguish this market from the rest. First, big institutional players are not allowed on Predictit. And second, people there are, how to put this, very opinionated about politics. And you put these two factors together, you'll get a market that is very ripe for arbitrage opportunities. And if you come in with some basic math and a lot of common sense, you can really profit from this. In this video, I will show you exactly how to identify and take advantage of arbitrage opportunities on this website. And if you feel adventurous, you can even create an account there, deposit a few dollars, and take advantage of these arbitrage opportunities with some real money. But of course, that is not a prerequisite for this video if you're just here to have fun, enjoy the process, and learn along the way. And I should say that this video is intended for people who are not necessarily familiar with arbitrage or with the platform Predictit, but if you are, feel free to jump directly to the section that interests you. But I strongly encourage you though to follow with me. So let us now jump to this website predictit.org and see what kind of markets they offer over there. Let's click on the Market tab because that's where all the fun happens, and let's click on the US elections. And here we can see a list of all the markets that you can bet on. Each one of them is tied to a specific political event. Let's click on this one, for example. In this market, you can bet on which party you think is going to be or not be the winner of the 2024 US presidential election. There are multiple parties you can choose from, and in fact, if you look closely, each party has two contracts associated with it, a yes contract and a no contract. Let us look at the Democrats, for example. If you think that the Democrats have good chances of winning the White House in 2024, you can buy a yes contract at 55 cents. By the election of 2024, two things can happen. Either the Democrats win the election, in which case you will win $1, leaving you with a 45-cent profit, or they don't, in which case you lose your initial 55-cent investment. If, on the other hand, you don't think they're likely to win, you can buy a no contract. So you pay 46 cents up front, and by the election of 2024, if you are right, meaning the Democrats did not win the election, then you make $1, which results in a 54-cent profit. Otherwise, the contract expires worthless and you have just lost your initial 46 cents. And now that we know how contracts on Predictit work, you know that whenever you buy any single contract, there is a possibility that you win money, and there is also a risk that you lose your investment, no matter how savvy you might be about politics. And this is simply because your profit or loss depends on elements that are outside of your control. Wouldn't it be great if there was a way to eliminate risk completely from the equation and consistently make a profit? That's exactly where arbitrage comes in. When you do arbitrage, you buy a combination of contracts whose payoff cancel each other out in a way that leaves you with a positive profit no matter what happens in the world. The last sentence was a mouthful. So let's start with a simple example. Let's say you buy a yes contract and a no contract at the same time. Now, I claim that you make $1 no matter what. This is because if the Democrats win, your yes contract is going to give you $1, and if they lose, your no contract is going to give you $1. Now, let me ask you this. How much did you have to invest in both of these contracts in this case? Well, it's 55 plus 46 cents, which comes up to $1.01. So, with the strategy of buying a yes and a no contract at the same time, we figured out a way to take chance completely out of the equation. You invest $1.01 and you are guaranteed to make $1 in return. The cynical amongst you might complain here that this strategy, although is deterministic in its outcome, does not actually make a profit, since it loses 1 cent no matter what. I, on the other hand, like to keep a positive mindset about things. The way I see it, we are halfway through our quest for arbitrage opportunities. We got the no risk part right, but not the profit part. And by the way, note here that if by some miracle you find a contract for which the prices of a yes and a no sum up to something less than $1, then you have just found yourself a money-making machine. And you can search all over the website Predictit for something like this, but unfortunately you wouldn't find any. We won't go into the details as to why that's the case, but this has something to do with the way Predictit matches orders together. In any case, we are on the right track here. Let's keep going and try to think of another combination of contracts whose payoff is guaranteed and positive no matter what. Let us jump to Predictit again and look at a different market this time. This market here is about who is going to be nominated by the Democratic Party to run for Senator of Florida. There are 3 candidates here. And the strategy we are going to explore is to buy all the 3 yes contracts. Here is a crucial observation. How much money would you need to buy every yes contract? Well, it's 93 plus 4 plus 1, so 97 cents, which is less than $1. When the market settles and one of the 3 candidates become the nominee, the return from that particular contract will be $1. So for each 97 cents you put in, you make 3 cents in pure arbitrage profit. And at this point, you might be tempted to stop here and go celebrate finding your first arbitrage opportunity. Well, not so fast. Let's see what happens when I go ahead and apply this strategy in real life. I'm going to buy 1 yes contract for each candidate, and if everything goes according to plan, I should be making 3 cents. If I click here, Predictit in its infinite generosity will show me my potential profits that it has already calculated for me. In this column, you can see that we bought 1 yes contract for each one of the 3 candidates. And in this column, you can see the prices that we bought them for. So far, so good. This third column here, which Predictit calls risk, is our potential profit. For example, if you look at the first row, this number represents my profit in case Demins wins the nomination. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Why is it showing only 2 cents and not 3 cents like we computed? Something's not right. Let's keep going. If we look at the second and third row, Predictit is telling me that not only I won't make any profit if Grayson or Murphy wins, but I will actually lose 7 cents. Why is that? We obviously missed something. So, as it turns out, we neglected one big aspect of markets that a lot of beginners fail to take into account, which is fees. Predictit actually takes 10% of your profit from any contract that you bought. And you could say, what's the big deal? If I can make 3 cents, Predictit will take 10% of that, so I still come out ahead, right? Not quite. Predictit takes 10% from the profits of each contract individually. So, for instance, if Demins wins, the value of this contract will jump to $1, resulting in 7 cents profit, and the other 2 contracts will expire worthless, leaving us with a loss of 3 and 1 cent respectively. So this will result in a 3 cent overall profit like we computed before. And you might expect that Predictit will take 10% of that, leaving you with 2.7 cents in profit. But that is not correct. Predictit will take 10% from each contract that made you money. So in this case, it will take 10% of the full 7 cents, leaving you with 2.3 cents instead of 2.7 cents. And this is the number that Predictit showed us, rounded to the nearest integer. And again, this may not seem like a big deal, but let's say it's Grayson who wins. Then this contract jumps to $1, resulting in 97 cents profit from this contract alone. And these other contracts expire worthless. So after Predictit take its 10% cut, our overall profit goes from 3 cents before fees to a whopping minus 7 cents. Hopefully now you get the idea. The cheaper the contract, the bigger the potential profit, and the bigger the cut of Predictit gets. And now, with fees in mind, if you were to look for a market where the buy all yes strategy is profitable, what should you be looking for? Because of fees, the condition that the sum of the prices should be smaller than 1 is not sufficient anymore. We need to take fees into account. And as we have seen, the worst case scenario is when the cheapest contract resolves to a yes, And mathematically, this corresponds to the following formula. And now, this is a perfectly valid strategy. You can go right now and try to find markets that satisfy this condition. But before you do that, however, I should warn you that there is something that you should be aware of. There is another problem with the buy all yes strategy. Let me ask you this. What happens if a new candidate comes out of nowhere and wins the nomination? What would happen is that all of our contracts will become worthless and we will lose all of our money. And this is a risk that will always exist with the buy all yes strategy. And this is a big con, and it can make this strategy not very worthwhile. Not to worry though, because I have left the best for last. The third strategy that we will see now does not suffer from this problem. Here are the strategies that we have tried so far. We have tried the strategy of buying the yes and no version of the same contract, and we have tried the buy every yes contract in the same market. And as it turns out, there is a better strategy very similar to this one with one fundamental difference. Try to guess what that strategy might be. That's right. Instead of buying every yes, what if we bought every no instead? And to explain this strategy, let's look at the following market. Who will be the governor of California on December 31st? So let's imagine that we bought all the no contracts, and note that some no contracts for some candidates don't even have a price, meaning that these candidates are so unlikely to win that it's not even possible to bet against them. So let's ignore those for now and focus on the four main candidates. And while we're at it, let's also ignore fees for now. So now let me ask you this. How much is our investment in this market, and how much are we guaranteed to win? The first question is easy. Our investment is the sum of all the prices, so $2.94. For the second question, I claim that we are guaranteed a return of at least $3. This is because at most one of these candidates will become governor, so before fees, we should be making 6 cents for each $2.94 we invest in this market. And let us now take fees into account and see if we still come out ahead. For that, let's compute for each one of these contracts our payoff if the value of that contract jumps to 1. And let's compute predicted 10% fee. On December 31st, we know that the 3 contracts that correspond to the 3 candidates that did not win will pay us each $1. So in the worst case, we will pay about 10 cents in fees, and our overall return in this market will be $3 minus 10 cents, which is 2.9. So overall, we have a loss of about 4 cents. It seems that this is a losing strategy. After all the hard work that we put in, we still came short. But here is an idea. Who said that we should buy exactly 1 of each contract? What if we buy a different number? Say 2 of the first contract, 3 of the second, 1.5 of the third, etc. Can we somehow make our profit positive just by doing this? So let me play with the numbers here a bit, and at the same time, let's track our profit from this market. It seems that this particular combination gives a positive profit. And while it's not possible to buy a fractional number of contracts, we can simply multiply everything by 100 to make the numbers round. And here I have to confess, I didn't just stumble upon these magical numbers that made the math work, I have actually used this calculator that I have created specifically for this video. It will give you exactly the number of contracts that you should buy to maximize your profit. And in fact, it does a little bit more than that. It can even find for you the markets on Predictit where the buy every no strategy works best. I put a link in the description. Let me now go on Predictit and try that. And lo and behold, after I've done all of this, Predictit is now telling me that my investment in this market is negative $1 as indicated by the parentheses. And this means that no matter who is elected governor, we are guaranteed a bit more than $1 in pure arbitrage profit. And here is the kicker. Since we bought only no contracts, if a new candidate comes in and sweeps the election, and unlike in the buy every yes strategy, we are not in danger of losing our money anymore. In fact, quite the opposite. If a new candidate wins, then all 4 of our no contracts will pay us each $1. So we actually make a bit more than $100 in that case. And I hear some of you say that, okay, sure, we made $1 here with a small probability of winning $100, but you had to invest almost $300 of your own money and leave it locked inside Predictit until December 31st. So the strategy clearly does not scale well. Here is the thing though. And get ready because I'm about to blow your minds. Predictit realizes that mathematically we cannot lose money on this trade. So it will actually give us our investments back plus the $1. Let me quickly play this video back and let's watch exactly what happens to the money that I have on my account. It starts to decrease initially, and then as I make more trades, Predictit realizes that I cannot lose money, so it gives it back with benefit. And you know what I can do with that money that Predictit just gave back to me? That's right, I will go back and do the exact same strategy again and make another $1. And I actually was lucky here that prices had moved in my favor while I was buying, so I actually made $2.5 instead of just $1. And again, I get my money back immediately and I will do the exact same thing again. And again. I'll stop here, but hopefully you get the idea. It's almost like a money-making machine. I just made $5 in pure arbitrage profit with zero risk and zero capital. So, what is the catch? Why am I not a billionaire yet? There are actually two good reasons for that. The first one is pretty straightforward. Predictit actually limits how many trades you can make on any given market. You cannot put more than $850 on any given contract. So if the price of a contract is 50 cents, the maximum number you can buy is 1700 of that contract. The second and more fundamental reason is that as you start taking advantage of an arbitrage opportunity, prices will eventually change, and that opportunity could disappear, and you will need to find a new one. I will end the video here. One important aspect we did not cover here is automation, or how to write code that finds arbitrage opportunities and trades them in an autonomous fashion. Maybe I will make a video about that in the future. If you made it this far, I want to say thank you. Let me know in the comments if you found this video useful, and I will see you in the next one.